You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis educational news for March the 3rd here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca. Good morning, Riv Cindy. How you doing today?
Good morning, Al. Not doing too bad, thank you very much. March.
That's right, but I'll tell you, it still feels like friggin' February out there. Minus 25 this morning.
Oh yeah, it's cold here. Not that cold. I think it's right now. It's like minus 10 with a feeling of minus 17. So.
Yeah. Well, long range though. Within the next week, we're talking like 7, 8, 9, even 10 degrees.
Yeah.
And a pile of rain on top of that, along with a couple feet of melting snow. What's there to worry about?
Well, I remember a few years ago here in Nova Scotia, 3 years ago, we hardly had any snow. And when we came out of that, our spring and summer were horrible. At one point in time, somewhere between a sixth and a fifth of my little tiny province was on fire. Yeah. So as much as all of this snow is annoying, all the rain coming is annoying, I say soak the ground and let's beat the wildfires before they happen.
Yeah, and fill the swamps. I know that we went by several swamps there last year when we were out. And they were dry. Wasn't any water in them. So that's I was thinking along the same line as you, as we did. The ground does need that water.
It does. So as cold as it is and as annoying as it is, it's really a blessing in disguise. It's a deep, deep, deep disguise.
Yes. Yeah. Anything before we get into the news?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. Before we get started, everybody, don't forget to hit the like and share button if you like what you're seeing. And let everybody know that we are here spreading cannabis news as well as psychedelic news to the world. And other than that, we'll get started with our first story of the day. And this is coming to me from StrapCan. And there, the headline says, Health Canada continues to ramp up inspections, revocations for personal and designated cannabis cultivation licenses. Health Canada's efforts to clean up the personal and designated medical cannabis grow license program has continued to pick up steam. That's right. Now, according to a brief note from October 2025, Health Canada had refused or revoked over 4,100 medical cannabis registrations under the cannabis regulations, including approximately 3,400 for reasons of public health and public safety as of March the 31st, 2025. This is an increase from previous figures from Health Canada in late 2024, showing the regulator had refused to revoked over 1,400 registrations since 2022, including more than 700 for public health and safety reasons. Now, at that time, this represented a 113% increase in refusals and revocations, and a 423% increase in the number of refusals and revocations made on the grounds of public health and safety since March of 2022. It'd be interesting to know what those two concerns were. Some ideas as far as what exactly they were. So now they say the newest figures show an even greater increase in these types of refusals. Personal and medical authorization sites have been under increased scrutiny in the past few years from several municipalities and many conservative MPs, especially in Ontario, where the OPP says that criminal enterprises are exploiting the Health Canada medical and personal designated cannabis production licenses. Now, a Southern Ontario county says it's the first in Canada to take steps to manage personal and designated medical grow licenses through a zoning bylaw. In 2022, in Alberta, there was a place there that they called on limits on medical cannabis grows in residential areas. And they say that the number of healthcare practitioners associated with the active personal and designated registrations who authorize amounts equal to or above 25 grams per day reached a new low of 222 at the end of 2023, which was down from the peak of nearly 500 in the late of 2022. Now, since 2019, Health Canada has shared data on the number of healthcare practitioners and the daily amounts authorized with these regulatory authorities to address these higher than average authorizations. Let's see what else. They say that for most of the recent available data from April 1st to March the 31st of 2024 to 2025, the federal regulator conducted a total of 889 inspections under the Cannabis Act and its regulations, up from 662 in the previous year. And Cindy, it's, they've been saying they're going to go at us for a long time. And obviously they have ramped that up.
Yeah. It, I'm split on this issue. Like I know a lot of people in the game. I know a lot of doctors that have prescribed. I work with veterans associations, and the max that I've seen, and like the average max that I've seen is, 10 to 15 grams per day. And these people have really had to prove it. So, I don't know the doctors that are prescribing like these larger amounts. I do know a couple of people, that I can think of that, honest to God, have needed them for, whether it's fighting MS or fighting cancer or fighting Parkinson's. So yeah, I don't know what to think of it.
Like when you've seen some of the reports over the years of some of the raids, they do include the fact that the person had a license or not. And some of those people have abused them. I know there was one fellow who had a license for 200 plants and he got busted for 3,000.
Yeah, well, I know somebody, sadly, that they have a license for 25 grams per day, they have their grow license as well, and they don't need it.
Yeah.
So I know people that need it, and I know people that have found the right doctors
to do that.
And then so they're like, and I know what they do. I used to bake for the people. That's how that's how I know them. So it's, I'm kind of on both sides. I don't like people taking advantage of the system that we've worked so hard to be granted.
Yeah.
But I don't want their abuse of it to take away from the people that actually need it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Now I see we got a comment from Xavier. He says 200 plants. I wish I could have a license for 200 plants. Yeah, people here in Canada, yeah, they got licenses for over 200 plants.
Yeah.
I've had my license for close to 20 years, and I just have the same license, same amount. Haven't gone in to change, nothing like that. But yeah, there are people who have abused it, and there's a lot of patients who have gone without because of other abuses. So
yeah, so it's it's a hard thing to make. I mean, I would love them to stop the people that are abusing it, but the way that they're going to try and go in there and do it is it'll end up limiting the people that really, really need it.
Correct. And the municipalities have been screaming for loopholes about this and that for years.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Xavier, he's getting involved here. He says that he's from New Jersey, and he says this is nothing that's unheard of. We can only have recreational use in the state. Now, here in Canada, we've had a medical program for
A long
basically
time.
20 years.
Or
And
long,
yeah, people 100 grams a day. And you get five plants per gram.
Wow.
Do the numbers if you're growing indoors, right? So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep,
All right.
sure.
From there, we should move on to the next story.
Absolutely. The next story is coming to us from Cannabis Health News. Mother of all cannabinoids, the rising potential of CBG and CBGA. I've recently been doing some work with this particular cannabinoid, and it's pretty amazing. While THC and CBD remain the most recognized cannabis compounds, researchers are increasingly turning their attention to a lesser known cannabinoid, often called the mother of all cannabinoids, CBG, and the acidic precursor CBGA. According to Cannabis Health News, CBGA plays a foundational role in cannabis chemistry. Inside the plant, CBGA is essentially the starting molecule from which other cannabinoids are formed. As cannabis matures, enzymes convert the CBGA into THCA, CBDA, CBCA, meaning without CBGA, many of the cannabinoids people know today wouldn't exist. Scientists are now exploring whether CBG itself may carry significant therapeutic potential. Early research suggests possible anti-inflammatory, neuroprotective, antibacterial, and even mood-regulating properties. Some studies are investigating CBG's potential role in conditions ranging from inflammatory bowel disease to glaucoma and neurological disorders. This is really exciting research. Researchers quoted in the article note that interest in CBG is growing partly because of its non-intoxicating, making it attractive for medicinal patients seeking symptom relief without psychoactive effects. However, producing CBG products presents challenges because most cannabis plants naturally convert that into other cannabinoids during growth. High CBG strains require specialized breeding and harvesting techniques, which can make products more expensive and less widely available. They are hard to find. Still, industry analysts believe minor cannabinoids like CBG represent the next phase of cannabis science. Rather than focusing on a single compound, researchers are beginning to explore the plant as a complex pharmaceutical system. As cannabis research expands globally, compounds once considered chemically minor may soon play major roles, in the future therapeutic development. I think this is exciting, Al. It makes me think of the other one, CBN. I have used both CBG and CBN in the past when I can find it. CBN is wonderful to help sleep, and I find CBG with its anti-inflammatory properties very pain relieving. It's a beautiful medicine.
Yeah, that's one advantage of the legal world, is the fact that those cannabinoids now will be increased, or availability be increased. And I'm not quite sure. They talked about in the article about breeding processes in order to increase CBG, but we also know that they can create cannabinoids by fermenting yeast.
Yes. Yeah.
So they can use that as a method in order to increase CBG end of things as well.
Yep, for sure.
I'd much rather have it out of the plant.
Me too. So I'm glad that, the scientists are moving forward, finding a way to grow these plants to increase that CBG output, and get those plants out there. Like I said, I've been lucky enough to try some CBG in ingestible form through my veteran supplier, and I have smoked some CBN, which was just absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
Sleep?
Yeah, hardcore. I woke up with my vape still in my hand, huh?
Yeah, he did his job, right? All right, time for us to move on to the next story. Here we go. This one here, it's coming to us from normal.org. Headline says, Justice Department brief urges SCOTUS to uphold federal gun bans for cannabis consumers. Solicitor General John Sauer is calling on the Supreme Court to uphold a long-standing federal ban prohibiting those with any history of cannabis use from legally owning or purchasing firearms. Now, in the brief filed last week with the Supreme Court, the Justice Department opines that categorically disarming cannabis consumers comports with our historical tradition of disarming habitual drunkards. That's what it says in quotes. The department argues that the ban is justified because the public safety concerns arising from particular dangerous behavior, mixing habitual illegal drug use or addiction with firearms. Now, in March, the Supreme Court Justice will hear arguments in United States versus Hemeny, and they say that the Justice Department is appealing the case after the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals determined that the federal government's Second Amendment ban is unconstitutional when applied categorically to those with any history of cannabis use. Other lower courts have offered similar opinions. Does that mean that they could ban you from owning a gun because you got busted for cannabis 20 years ago? Basically, that's what I'm reading. Now, in January, members of NORML's amicus committee filed a friend of the court brief with the Supreme Court urging the justices to repeal the federal ban. They say, for centuries, Americans cultivated, consumed, and prescribed cannabis without any suggestion that doing so warranted loss of firearm rights, and state legal medical cannabis users readily continue to do so today with the protection of Congress. Now, NORML's brief explains the historical analogs the government identifies concern temporary restrictions on carrying or firing weapons while intoxicated or on persons adjudged dangerous, not blanket bans for all users of a disfavored substance. Exactly. For decades, the federal government has asserted that the 1968 prohibition on firearm possession by unlawful users of federal controlled substances should be applied broadly, effectively criminalizing gun ownership based solely on past cannabis use, even absent intoxication or dangerous contact. Earlier this year, however, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives published a proposed rule in the Federal Registry revising its interpretation of unlawful users. Under the proposed rule, federal prosecutors will be required to show evidence of regular or compulsive drug use over an extended period before restricting an individual's amendment's rights. You know, Cindy, I'm not a big gun person. I've actually been on the wrong end of a gun crime, but I'm totally supportive of these people having access to guns. Just because they smoke cannabis, there's no reason to take their gun away. No. Like people can get drunk. They don't take their gun away because they might get drunk and have their gun, whereas they're saying basically the same thing with the cannabis.
No, and traditional, especially here in North America, traditional hunting trips involve a lot of booze.
No, they sure do.
They hardcore do, right? And I've been hunting. I've been using weapons since I was 7 years old. Taught how to properly use them, properly clean them, how to handle them. And, I've got my pal here in Canada, so, I mean, I'm baffled at that. It's coming from people who just are unknowledgeable when it comes to cannabis.
Big time. Exactly. Oh, and a shout out to Rian O'Neill. Hi to you as well. Thanks for chiming in. All right, Cindy, on to your story, and then we're going to head to break.
On to the next story. It is coming to us from cannabis.net. Oh, let me get the headline up here because there we go. Yale scientists reveal the surprising mental health benefits of psychedelic mushrooms. New research connected to scientists at Yale University is adding momentum to growing evidence that psilocybin, the active compound in psychedelic mushrooms, may significantly benefit mental health treatment. The report highlights findings suggesting psilocybin therapy can help reduce symptoms of depression, anxiety, and emotional distress, particularly in individuals who have not responded well to modern-day treatments. Researchers are increasingly interested in how psychedelics appear to work differently from modern-day psychiatric medicines. Rather than simply suppressing symptoms, psilocybin may temporarily increase brain connectivity, allowing individuals to revisit entrenched thought patterns from new psychological perspectives. One researcher described the experience as helping the brain become more flexible, interrupting rigid cycles often associated with depression and trauma. Participants in controlled studies frequently report lasting improvements in mood, emotional openness, and overall well-being following guided therapeutic sessions. Scientists believe these outcomes may stem from both neurological changes and the meaningful psychological experience reported during treatment, the trip. Importantly, researchers stress that these benefits occur with structured clinical environments that include preparation and integration support. It's not a casual or unsupervised use, and that integration is where the real work comes in. At regulatory agencies worldwide, or as regulatory agencies worldwide begin approving expanded psychedelic trials, institutions once cautious about the field are now actively contributing to the research. The growing involvement of universities like Yale and here in Nova Scotia, the University of Ottawa, and one out in BC, signals how rapidly psychedelic science is moving from controversy towards medical legitimacy. For many researchers, the question is no longer whether psychedelics have therapeutic value, but how healthcare systems may responsibly integrate the use of them, in the years ahead. And I think that, I don't think it ever should have been taken out of medicine, but because it did, this is a fight that we have. And it's really great to see the universities getting on board, not just with the research, but with education.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're coming at it from both ends, doing the research as well as educating people. And I have to agree with the first line in the conclusion of this article. And it says, this growing body of research makes it clear that psilocybin is no longer a fringe substance associated with merely getting high.
Which is an amazing quote. Thank you.
Yeah. It's bang on as far as I'm concerned. The stuff that we're reporting every time we do a report twice a week. Yeah, it's more than just about getting high. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. That's it for the first half of the show. We're going to take a break. We're going to pay some bills. And then we got 4 more stories when we get back, including one on why we get munchies. That's in there, as well as some more studies on psilocybin. We'll see you in 3 minutes. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor? If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching Psychedelics Cannabis Educational News. Cindy, we got 4 more stories to bring everybody, and we're going to get started with one from the International Cannabis Business Conference, and the headline there says, as everybody reads it before I do, Guyana launches its regulated cannabis program. In the summer of 2023, lawmakers in Guyana approved a measure that legalized the limited cultivation of low THC cannabis for medical and industrial purposes. The African nation Parliament approved the Narcotics Control Commission bill in 2023 and tasked Guyana's Ministry of Interior with setting up a framework to issue cannabis cultivation licenses. The ministry announced this week that it has finally done so. Wow, it's only taken 3 years. Guyana has launched the Cannabis Regulatory Program, establishing a controlled framework for the cultivation and management of low THC cannabis for medical and industrial purposes. The announcement came during a brief press briefing in Accra, where the Honorable Muntaka Mohammed Mubakar, Ministry for the Interior, declared the program open for implementation. Says that Guyana's Ministry of the Interior wrote in a news release that this low psychoactive hemp is the same type legally cultivated in countries like Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Germany for fibers, seeds, textiles, food products, and therapeutic applications. Now, during a press conference, the minister pointed out to the economic boost that Canada's legal cannabis industry has provided the nation. Canada adopted a national adult use cannabis legalization measure in 2018, with Canada's regulated industry model being far more robust compared to what Guyana has adopted. I'd say so. Now, the ministry outlined key anticipated outcomes, such as reduction in illegal high THC cultivation as farmers transition to legal alternatives, significant local and foreign investment, thousands of jobs, particularly for rural youth, and substantial state revenue from licensing fees and export. Now, in July of 2025, Guyana's current cannabis industry regulatory body, the Management of Narcotics Control Commission, engaged with the Moroccan ambassador, Mrs. Quadrille, to discuss Guyana's cannabis policy implementation plan. Now, additionally, members of Guyana's emerging cannabis industry are planning a trade mission trip to the Czech Republic as part of an ongoing effort to develop the country's cannabis industry and boost collaboration with other nations. Now, I don't know about you, Cindy. Yeah, with the way that was going there, it sounded like they were just going to allow hemp, but then they start explaining the Canada end of things and legalization.
Yeah, they're definitely going low THC, but what is their low THC?
Yeah.
Right? Like, are they going with the 0.3, which would be hemp, or are they allowing it to go up to like maybe 3 or 5% or something like that?
Yeah, and well, that's like trying to restrict the limit of the height of the plant, like they tried here in Canada. It's hard to restrict. unless they constantly.
Well, no, but I mean, like all the growers that I know that when that first happened, and they're like, "So you just want us to keep topping our plants?" And fine,
no restrictions on width.
right? So I know a lot of people that they ended up with bushes, like huge bushes. I mean, the same with me, right? Like my plants, I don't know what I do. They usually grow tall, so you have to keep bringing them down, and you end up with all of these tops, like all of these colas. It was really beautiful.
It is. It's nice, isn't it?
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm sure that we will see follow-up stories. I'm curious to see what their low THC means.
Yeah.
You know, is it low cannabis, or are they going on the hemp side? Like that's kind of.
I got to believe the cannabis advocates in the country must have celebrated 3 years for them to implement it. Like, I know people were, upset here in Canada because it was going to take a couple of years. Like,
yeah. So I mean, like, and as we know here in Canada, like once it's implemented, it'll be always evolving. So.
Yeah, and it needs to evolve more still.
Yeah.
All right. On to yours. Next story.
On to the next story. This is coming to us from PsyPost. Psilocybin produces different behavioral and brain-altering effects depending on the dose. Quite interesting, hey? A new study highlighted by PsyPost is reinforcing something long recognized by researchers and experienced practitioners alike. When it comes to psilocybin, dose matters profoundly. Scientists examined brain activity and behavioral responses, found that different amounts of psilocybin can produce distinctively different neurological and psychological outcomes. Lower doses appear to influence mood, perception, and cognitive flexibility in subtle ways, while higher doses produce much more significant alterations in brain communication patterns. Researchers observed that increasing dosage changed how various brain networks interacted, particularly those linked to self-reflection, perception, and emotional processing. These shifts may These shifts may explain why therapeutic psychedelic sessions often rely on carefully calibrated dosing protocols. The findings also help clarify ongoing discussions around microdosing versus full therapeutic doses. While smaller amounts may influence creativity or mood regulation, higher clinical doses appear more closely associated with transformative psychological experiences reported in therapeutic research. Scientists involved in the study emphasize that understanding dose-dependent effects is critical for developing safe medical frameworks. As psychedelic therapies move towards regulated healthcare models, standardized dosing could become as important as it is with conventional pharmaceuticals. In short, the research underscores a central principle emerging in psychedelic medicine. Outcomes are not determined solely by the substance itself, but by the dosage, the context, the preparation, the support, and the integration afterwards, of course. I don't know how much knowledge you have when it comes to comparing the macro and the micro doses or not, Al. But it's nice to see the research showing something that those of us that are seasoned with it already know.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Most of my mushroom stuff is back decades. So yeah. And back then it was macro.
Yeah.
I never heard of microdosing until, obviously later in life. But in the beginning, that's all it was macro dosing.
Big doses.
Yeah.
Big doses. And I've noticed, I work in a head shop here in Nova Scotia and chatting with some young people that come in. I've noticed that with, the 20s era kids right now, it's still the same thing. Their psilocybin is very much macro dosed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the mushrooms as far as the effects of them that bothered me. It was eating them. The squeaky. It's like curry, cheese curds. squeaky when you're eating it. I didn't like that.
What I always did is I used to get mini pizzas when I was younger, and
Yeah.
some extra cheese, and then I'd cut up the mushrooms and put them on the mini pizzas and cover them with cheese.
There you
Then you
go.
can
Hey. That helps.
It
All right.
works.
It works. Okay, on to our next story. This is coming to us from the Marijuana Moment. And the headline there says, scientists reveal what types of food the marijuana munchies may make you crave the most. Getting the munchies after using cannabis isn't just in your head. It's a real biological phenomenon that could hold important real-world implications for people suffering from conditions associated with appetite loss, such as myself with Crohn's disease. Now, according to a new study that also identified some of the most commonly desired food items while high, researchers at Washington State University and the University of Calgary sought out to investigate the well-known cannabis experience, which is often comically portrayed in the media as a hunger-inducing side effect that's coupled with copious consumption of Doritos and other unhealthy snack foods. Yeah, exactly. Well, that might be how some people manage the munchies. The appetite stimulation associated with cannabis has the potential to meaningfully help people with serious health conditions, the researchers said in the study, which has recently been published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Getting the munchies after using cannabis isn't just in head, as I said. I don't know. See how I got stuff doubled up here. They say that that might be how people manage the munchies. They say the appetite stimulation associated with cannabis has the potential to help people, as I mentioned. Now, the human clinical trial involved 82 volunteers, aged 21 to 62. Now, the participants were randomly assigned to vape either 20 or 40 milligrams of cannabis or a placebo for the control group, and were assessed to determine what kind of factors might impact the appetite effect. The study also involves similar assessments using a rat model. Interesting, the study found that people didn't universally gravitate towards one type of food option over another. Some participants were inclined to eat carbohydrate-heavy foods. Others preferred proteins, and some fell closer to the stereotype of choosing fatty snack foods. But there were some things in common, if unexpected themes. Beef jerky was the number one things intoxicated people gravitated towards, which this writer doesn't understand. I don't understand either, but I don't eat beef jerky. Honestly, they say I would have thought chocolate chips, Rice Krispies, treats, and things like that, according to the writer. He says, adding that water was among the most desired items. Water. Odd. The rat-based trial similarly demonstrated that cannabis commonly triggered an appetite response in the animals, which pulled levers to obtain food at a much higher rate compared to the control group. The sober animals are kind of like, I'm full, why do I care? They don't put in any effort at all. They barely work in any capacity to get access to food. The University of Calgary's Matthew Hill says, but you get them stoned again, and even though they're now full and they've eaten, they get right back as if they're starving. The same thing we saw in the humans, we saw in the rats. We kind of thought it would make them want to eat carb-rich foods, but that didn't seem to be the case. It just seemed to be any food. Now, the findings reinforce what's been established in earlier research into the endocannabinoid system. THC stimulates the hypothalamus and hijacks the entire system, according to McLaughlin. So even though you're not necessarily hungry, THC can stimulate cannabinoid receptors in the brain and make you feel hungry. There you go.
There you go.
And-
Interesting.
Yeah. It shows that it's not, as I said, everybody thinks it's just all about munchies. It's snack food, unhealthy snack food, but people are eating anything.
Well, they said beef jerky, so that's something that's salty and full of protein.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's satisfying the salt. And if people are craving protein, that's just really interesting that the majority of people crave protein of some sort.
Exactly, which is good. This is healthy for us. Yeah. So it's just not all about snack foods. It's just about the way the brain operates once you add some THC to it.
Mm-hmm.
Feed me.
Feed me. Give me the stuff I need. Protein.
Exactly. All right. On to the last story of the day.
The last story of the day. It is coming to us from Nature Scientific Reports. Pilot study of psilocybin in patients with post-treatment Lyme disease. And I just feel that we're coming up to an important time of year to maybe think about this as psilocybin for Lyme disease. A newly publicized peer-reviewed study in the journal Natural Scientific Reports is contributing deeper insight into how psychedelic compounds influence brain function and behavior at the biological level. The research examined neurological responses associated with psychedelic exposure, focusing on how these substances affect communication between brain regions involved in perception, emotion, and cognition. Scientists observed measurable changes in neural signaling patterns that may help explain why psychedelics can produce profound shifts in awareness and psychological processing. One key takeaway from the study is that psychedelics appear to temporarily reorganize normal brain activity, allowing networks that do not typically communicate closely to interact more freely. Researchers believe this increased connectivity may underlie reported therapeutic benefits seen in depression, PTSD, and anxiety studies. Importantly, the authors emphasize that these effects are temporary, but may create windows of heightened neuroplasticity, periods during which learning, emotional processing, and behavioral changes may become more accessible. Studies published in high-impact journals like Nature Signal are about how far psychedelic science has progressed from decades of research restrictions. What was once largely theoretical is now being examined through advanced imaging and rigorous experimental design. And of course, the neuroplasticity and the brain talking to each other, it is why psilocybin would be important in healing the brain after Lyme disease.
Yeah. And Lyme disease, as we know, we were talking about it before the show, and we both know people who have suffered from Lyme disease.
Yes.
And what they've had to go through. Here now, because I've been bit twice, and there were several years between them, and the system has changed as far as, now we just got to go to our pharmacy and let them know, and the pharmacist will write out the prescription and they'll give you your couple of antibiotic pills and on you go. But if you don't find that you've been bit, you could end up with some troubles down the road.
Yeah. And that's where it gets harder to diagnose it. And we talked about two people. We each knew somebody that had to go to the United States to finally get their diagnosis. They have, more in-depth tests down there, I guess.
Yeah, something's different anyways. So, but now it's much better than what it was as far as access to the medications, because, you used to have to go to the doctors or go to the hospital to get it. But at least now we can go to the pharmacy, which gets you your medication quicker to get at that.
Absolutely.
Try to kill it off. So, all right. Anything else?
Oh, I don't think so. It's Monday, folks. Have a great week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have a great week. Sounds good to me. And that's it for today. We hope you found it informative and educational. Thanks go out to everybody for tuning into the broadcast and to our sponsors, Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, as well as At-Eze.ca. And we will see you Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And don't forget, as I always say, to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.